And stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please remain standing just for a few minutes as we recognize those that we have lost, both overseas and at home, in particular Nancy Hess, Theodore Majeko, Junko Camper-Salters, and John Jansen. And the New York City Firemen. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone. Do we have any public comment on the agenda items? Liaison department head reports. Police. Do you have anything for us?
There were a total calls of...
Oh no, you gotta get up and get in front of the camera. So. Yes. Waiting on that one forever.
Puts 100 pounds on, right?
I'm not saying that we're not going there.
Didn't know. They didn't tell you. Yeah.
I got this on the other thing too.
Oh, yes. Oh, no.
Okay.
We had a total of 1,477 calls. 8 of those resulted in 8 misdemeanor arrests, 6 violation arrests, and 0 felonies for a total of 14 arrests. Parking meter summonses, there were 45. Traffic, there were 98. Total summonses of 144. That helps. Meter collections was 2,200. And village tickets were 565. And then there were report fees of 450. And then it says meter for 340 for a total of 3,109.50. Total gas mileage was 696 gallons for 6,340 miles total.
Thank you so much.
That was good, man. Go ahead, yes.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
We know there were 8 misdemeanors. What we're constantly asked in the street is, are we picking up drug incidents?
I would have to look. I do not know offhand. I mean, there's always UPM and stuff like that going on, but I do not know specifics as I'm looking at this. Okay, but I can get you an answer. Okay.
Should have stayed back here. Wastewater.
Wastewater.
Thank you, Sergeant.
You're welcome.
Average volume of wastewater treated for a month, 933,000 gallons, 4.5 inches of rain. The plant met all New York State species permit limitations. Pellwood Lake and Webb Lane pump stations on Haven Roads are checked regularly and operating properly. Health filter press in operation for 4 days. 54 cubic foot of grit and screenings removed by TAM. Boss construction on site for 1 day for completion of digester building roof replacement project. Anthony Gill on site repairing replacement primary digester coping stones 3 days. Chief Operator John Jones and department head meeting, attended the department head meeting on June 10th and June 24th. Repair and maintenance, running the pump station, house pumps, Trico Electric ran underground wires for new control panel and control maintenance building. Basement to new exterior junction box, like pump pit, 2 days. Secondary clarifier, West Path. Installed new main dry sprocket. Assisted the wastewater or water plant operator Jack Sylvan. Back in service June 13th. Gravity thickener. Drained, cleaned, painted, and refilled. Out of service 4 days. Delmar Service Contractors performed annual service, preventative maintenance of chlorinator and polymer systems. Also rebuilt polymer feed pump. Sanitary sewer system, rotted block Cragston service main inside main gates to facility. Jeff Ackrew from TAM Inc. flushed cleaning various sewer mains throughout the village as part of the semi-annual maintenance program, 5 days. Cleaning, scraping, painting, 7 days. Maintenance and lubrication of pumps, motors, and machinery as required. Maintenance of buildings and grounds as time allows, 27 days. Man-hours lost to sick, vacation, personal leave, and compensatory. Leave time, 8 days. Overtime work for a month, 28 scheduled, 2 emergency. Gas consumption, 60 gallons.
Building.
If you want me to do April and May, we've got one a little late now. Okay.
We have the report. It's a good report. Okay, we'll move on. For building, there was we have a 2-page report for both months, standard permits, and one out was completed. Fire.
Fire. We have a report from Chief Suarez. The fire department is still in the midst of a program to check and install smoke detectors in houses. We have checked and installed new detectors in at least 6 homes in the village, with a few getting 5 or more detectors installed, bringing them up to the recommended amount for that particular building. This is very important. Residents that are interested in setting up an appointment for the fire department to inspect the current detectors in their homes they are asked to visit the website at hffd.net or to call the firehouse at 446-2040, 446-2040. Once appointments are taken and taken care of, the department will go door to door to explain the program and hopefully install a large quantity of smoke and fire detectors to help keep our community safe and possibly save lives. Is the chief here? I just want to check.
Yes.
Chief Suarez, do you have anything to add?
Nope, that pretty much says it all. It's a great program. We're still going on. We got a lot of smoke detectors to get rid of that we've acquired through a grant. And we replaced a lot of detectors. A lot of homes people don't realize how many detectors they actually need in their house. One in every bedroom, one in the hallways, living spaces. So it's a good program where we're going to go out and we're going to inspect, see how many detectors they need, and we'll put new ones up for them.
That's great.
Thank you. You're
Let's keep going. Treasurer.
Okay, good evening, board. Just a couple notes. We haven't had a meeting in a couple weeks, so I want to just update the board on a couple things. One, our Section 8 administrator annually gets some interest that's essentially we accumulate interest from the activity of monitoring and carrying out the Section 8 program. That interest, if it's below $100, can be retained for administrative costs by the village. Up until now, it appears that this whole thing with the IRS came up and the federal government came up in 2012. And essentially what Mastriani's telling us is that there's about $75 or so on that we technically would have to write a check for back to the Treasury because it's interest money and it's above and beyond the payments for Section 8. But there is a provision that up to $100 can be kept for administrative costs. My recommendation is for the board to consider keeping those funds. Mastriani has said for this year that they'd like, because they didn't necessarily know that, I'm not sure they knew about the 100 provision. I don't know if they picked up on it because I had to ask that question, and the response I got was generally they're okay with it, but right now they'd like to, for this last 2 years, they'd like to be able to make the payment back and then start anew. I said that I talked to the board about it. I realize it's a small amount of money, but for going forward is what I really care about here, is how we want to handle this scenario. Again, my recommendation is that if there is interest proceeds, if it's under $100, we retain it as part of activities related to Section 8. Right now, we have a potential liability unless the board decides that it's not a liability because it's under the 100 threshold. So I just want to get some feedback on how the board wants to handle that small amount of funds. Because it's dealing with the treasury, I need to make sure officially how the board wants to handle it.
I have no problem with us holding on to it.
I like the idea.
I don't know why we wouldn't, you know.
I don't know either. It's a technicality. I guess when interest rates are much higher, it can be a much larger sum of money.
Right.
But right now with interest rates below 1%, you know, if this was a 5-6% interest rate environment, it might be $500.
Yeah.
Then you have that 100 threshold and you have a repayment of 400. So as long as the board's all in agreement that that's how we'll proceed, that's how I'll handle it with Mastroianni.
So it's up to $100 every year.
Correct. Okay. Secondly, we have another round of bond refinancing coming up. We have two bands that are due, one for sewer and one for water. One is for the tanks and the other is for sewer reconstruction. Right now, we're going to approach it just like we did in our bond offering in June, where we were able to get that approximately 80.88 basis point rate. We're going to look to get that offering again and go down the same route. Just want to inform the board that we're going to continue with these two bonds, and it's all going to culminate with a super ban that's going to come due in March. And our advisor, Munistat, feels that that will be a very attractive bond for a lot of potential customers, and we could see a very attractive rate, maybe a little bit below what we're doing now, because it'll be correct. Again, it's short-term borrowing, it's annual borrowing, but the way rates are right now, you could realize easily less than 1% on such a large payment. The other thing is it'll be once a year that we're going to refinance our bands, which means one closing, one set of documents, one set of advisory services. So collectively, we'll save thousands of dollars in not having to spend money on that type of activity for this debt, okay? I'll have more details. The offering's going to go out on the 22nd, and we should have results of that offering that day. I estimate it should be in the ballpark of where we were in June, okay? Next, I wanted to bring up the issue of the loader. The report, I understand, came back, and there's an insurance claim that some monies were paid, but there is some question as to how it's being categorized. I just want to inform the board that that's still ongoing, and hopefully, if it's not categorized in a way that's where we think it's supposed to be, that we get that corrected so that if there is any other future issues, that it doesn't fall into this this legal minutia that I think is going on with this claim. Okay.
Is the insurance company investigating that besides?
It's my understanding that the insurance company did their review,
Right.
and they determined that it didn't fall under the category that we assumed that was falling under.
Okay.
And they essentially are paying us a default value, which is a very small sum of money as to the value of that piece of equipment. Okay? And I worked with the village clerk to contact our insurance carrier to find out why that loader wouldn't be considered property, plant, and equipment and be insured that way. And we're still trying to get some better information as to why. I don't know if this was over the years just categorized this way, or if the insurance company is getting a loophole where they can maybe slide out of a full responsibility for this, okay? We're still trying to get some information on that. But it's a little disappointing news because it's a very expensive piece of equipment, as we all know, and funds are tight to be able to have to purchase something like that again. And then finally, I also wanted to discuss if the board has anything that they want to go over related to the health plan. I received a call from Mr. Palmetier. Mayor, I understand he's contacted you also. and I know the notice went out of the 60-day discussion period. I just want to alert the board that if in fact that's something on the table, then we probably need to, start to discuss that in a session, in an upcoming village board meeting, to get moving on that.
I agree.
And the other items that I have are related to specific people and financial matters that would qualify for executive session. So thank you, board.
Thank you. Chamber of Commerce. July 15th is the next Chamber of Commerce meeting. Please check the paper to confirm that. It should be at the Holiday Inn Express. I believe it's 7 o'clock.
Isn't it 5:30?
Is it 5:30? 5:30 at the Holiday Inn Express. I am asking all businesses to make it a point, this meeting, July meeting, please try to attend at the Holiday Inn Express. We have a series agenda we're putting together along the village as issues that we're going to bring to the chamber about the business community here in the village. So we're asking for as many participants as possible to make their way to the Holiday Inn on the 15th.
15th of July?
Yep. At 5:30. Project Advisor.
I wanted to keep my promise to keep everybody informed of what we were doing on the two projects we've discussed before. The first is the wastewater treatment plant, and the second one is the possible microgrid that we would construct. Both of these involve ultimately the academy, and both of them are designed to save us money and give us some advantage, and also help us assist the academy and try to work together a little better. We had a major step forward, I think, in having the chief of all privatization and partnerships in the Army, Mr. Ivan Belton, who's with us just a week before last. I met with you, of course, and as you know, it went very well. We were able to speak with him afterwards, and it's very impressive. He's been in that position long enough where he's not just trying to get by, he wants to get something done. And he knows the Academy has attempted before to privatize their wastewater plant unsuccessfully. So he was very receptive to our ideas. He said that if we could do something and make a proposal that was legitimate, he would have probably 2 years less time solving the problem of the allowing raw sewage to go into the water. So it was very encouraging. On the power side, the idea of putting together a microgrid here, although he does the privatization, the partnerships, that work directly has been turned over to the EITF, the Energy Initiative Task Force in the Army, so he gives us a name to go and talk to them. Our own efforts, we've got two folks coming up this week. We've got someone tomorrow who's a solar expert and a financier, and the next day we've got someone coming from Eaton, who is former Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, and he's interested in giving us some help on financing if we should decide to do this. Our objective is to make this finance itself, and perhaps take care of all our loads in the village and maybe the town as well at a lower price, and save money for us and a small microgrid, and then be able to, using the 331 authority, which is just now available for the first time, just about a year ago, as a host community to do help West Point do theirs, which is much, much larger than what they want to do. But that's basically where we are. I guess the other thing worth mentioning is that the state has continued to work. Public Service Commission is going full blast trying to rebuild what they call the REV, the Reform Energy Vision, and they want to take the utilities like ONR and have them be platforms to support people doing solar and wind and microgrids. It could be a complete change of the traditional utility role in America, and the whole country is kind of seeing how this is going to come out. We know the utilities are probably not too terribly eager to do this. It's not something that they had invited people to do, but they have so far been cooperative. This week on the 10th of this month, there's a big report in all the 12 or 15 different committees are going to report to the Public Service Commission. 350 people working on it, all the volunteers. All the communities are getting into it. And the reports will come in on the 10th. The staff of the Public Service Commission will take all that information in the month of August, put it together and give it to the commissioners, and then the legislation will the governor will decide what to do with it by the end of the year. So I think that pretty well covers it, and we have a pretty good grip as to what our role could be and what's an unusual time. It's just the stars are aligned. We've got a superintendent, we've got a mayor, and we've got a new garrison commander all coming at the same time. At least 3 years, they're going to be on station, so we might get something done which normally wouldn't be possible. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Well, sort of relative to what John was talking about, the meeting with Mr. Golden came about as a direct result of John's trip to Washington for the Association of Defense Communities annual meeting. We did receive a FOIL request from Ms. Capriglione, which sort of surprised me since she was here when 2 of us voted against paying for that conference, and I was one of them. It was very expensive because we were not members of the defense communities. John never asked for travel expenses, it was just the conference expense. He determined to go on his own dime. I was lucky to be able to call him up, and based on his past as a federal employee, I got him a scholarship, so it cost, the conference cost $125, which he paid for. But with that in mind, considering this was a freebie for the village, I would like this to be put on new business tonight, that for $240, we join the Association of Defense Communities, so we stay up to date on all of this stuff in the future.
It's a good idea, Charlotte.
I agree. Mayor's report. There is a Volksmarch group going through Bog Meadow area on Saturday, July 12, 2014. We welcome them every year. And we have the annual salute to the Freedom Flotilla. That is Saturday, July 12th. It says come early, no later than 11:30 at the Highland Falls Marina by McDonald's. You go down the road by McDonald's. What this is a bunch of the boats, the Wounded Warriors, will be coming up the Hudson. And the Highland Falls Marina has opened itself up to come down and share the experience. They did it last year, and they want to do it this year. So, and Skeeter always makes everyone very welcome. He is asking you to be there no later than 11:30 if you want to see the boats coming up the Hudson. Discussion. On the agenda for discussion, we have the recreation agreement. The recreation agreement has been given out to all the board members, and they are reviewing that. We will take action on that as soon as they have had an opportunity to review it. And that goes again with the water agreement. The water agreement has been handed out to all the members. They're reviewing that, and as soon as they've had the proper time to review that, it will be on the agenda for new business. We did get a letter referencing the penalties for utilities and taxes of late payment, and we are handling that within the clerk's office downstairs. And under discussion, I'm asking Trustee Mellon just to give us a quick update on the senior center.
Senior Center, as a matter of fact, I have some, I met with several people at the Senior Center. I've got proposals, a couple verbals, some in writing, some in, I've worked with Scott Buchholz from Garrison, Jack McCarthy from town, and Ray Alter gave us proposals on the floor and the bathroom. I've got all those proposals, I will give them to Gina. I think that some of the, it appears that McCarthy got the bathroom from low prices and Ray Alter got the floor. There's a commercial grade vinyl floor that goes down over that other floor, which is exactly what we want to do. As long as we don't disrupt 50 square foot of existing flooring, we'll be okay. That's a magic number there. Ray Alter is willing to do that, and on top of that, he was willing to give us a little extra in the entryway to the police station, it would be new. And that sort of sealed it for me on this matter, but I'll give all the paperwork to the board this evening. And I got samples of the vinyl, commercial grade vinyl tile downstairs by my mailbox. I'm not very good at picking colors, but I figured maybe we can give it to Fran Glue. I could drop it off at Fran's house, and she could have the seniors get their input on that. So that matter we can get moving on that right away.
Excellent.
We'll talk about, if that's okay with you guys, I could drop that at Fran's house, and she could have the seniors meeting, and they can vote that. But I'd like to get this moved along, if we can get that, vote on that.
On
Accept-
both of these tonight?
Yes, Jack McCarthy and Ray Alter, those numbers. Is that
If
something?
you want to do a new business.
Yeah, we'll do it right now. We'll move right into new business right now. That's the last thing for discussion. All right, on new business, we have a low bid from Ray Alter for vinyl flooring at $9,800.
That's 9,800.
At $9,800. Do I have a motion to accept that bid? Mr. Brown, second. Charlie Murphy. All those in favor?
And McCarthy's, I
All those
stuck that in your.
opposed? He's up going.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All those opposed? So moved. Go ahead.
McCarthy's I stuck in the mailbox.
Okay.
I don't have that number, I thought it was 5,400, 5,600, but it was low by quite a stretch.
I'd like to move on McCarthy's bid for no more than, for the bid as it states in the bid, no more than $6,000. He was the lowest bidder by quite a bit. Do I have a motion to accept Mr. McCarthy's bid?
So moved.
Charlie Murphy, Mr. Brown, all those in favor?
I-
All those opposed? So move. Excellent, we'll get going on that, and I hope that seniors will be excited. Okay?
Clarification, Bob, what was that for the door?
I'm sorry?
Bathroom,
Bathroom?
handicap bathroom.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business, I need approval for the minutes, as written regular meeting, June 16, 2014. Do I have a motion?
You do.
Second? All those in favor? Opposed? So move. I need a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a 6-month extension of the contract with J. Mastriani, Inc. to administer the Section 8 program. This is to allow us enough time to make sure we have the contract in place, decide what we want to do, and move forward. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Discussion, because the so moved was giving me the thing. You want to say something, Charlie?
Well, we did ask some questions, and I think we still have to extend for 6 months, but we need to ask them to answer some of the questions.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of, we knew we had a ton of stuff that was still to be discussed, and this is just for 6 months
Yeah,
to continue on until
right.
we'll be back at the table again with the.
Well, what we need to do is, we need to move on this month. So that any questions that went out are answered, we have a decision on what we want to do. And that way, when it gets pushed back the next 2 months, because we have so much on our plate, we're still in time at the 6-month extension,
Okay.
where we don't have to re-extend it. I want to make a decision in 6 months, that's it. We're either staying with Mastriani for another 2.5 years, or we're doing something different with the program. I would like to do something different with the program at this time. After looking over all the paperwork, I've given it quite a bit of time. We're not going to discuss it tonight. We'll put it on another agenda. We have a very extensive executive session tonight, so it will be on a quickly, near future agenda.
Okay.
But if you can, bring yourself up to speed on any documentation that they've given us recently, including the answers to questions that we have asked, which, as you said, Charlie, we're not really answering. So do I have a motion? I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I need a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the Orange County Youth Program 2014 contract with the Village of Highland Falls DARE program. This has already been approved. This is just a motion so I can sign for the money, continue the DARE program. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We have a resolution to introduce and set a public hearing for the wireless transmission local law for August 4th. Do I have a motion?
Wait, you have the resolution there to read.
Sure. Resolution introducing a local law and providing for public notice and hearing. Be it resolved that an introductory local law entitled Wireless Communication Facility be it hereby introduced before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls in the County of Orange and State of New York. And be it further resolved that copies of the aforesaid proposal local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the board, and be it further resolved that the board hold a public hearing on said proposed local law at Village Hall, 303 Main Street in the Village of Highland Falls, New York at 7 p.m. on August 4th, 2014. And be it further resolved that the clerk publish and cause to be noticed a public notice in the official newspaper of the Village of Highland Falls and said public hearing at least 10 days prior to thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call, trustee Mellon,
Aye.
trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Murphy. Aye. Mayor Flynn.
Aye. Budget transfers. We have a budget transfer from account GA130.02 to account GA130.04. Do I have a motion?
The amount,
Excuse me?
say the amount and which,
Sure.
these are
It's
all
for sewer plant equipment to sewer plant contingency in the amount of $30,000.
Make motion.
Second?
Second?
Ed, are you still here?
No.
No?
These are,
Questions?
these are 13-14 budget transfers to clean up
Yeah.
in the year.
Okay, does everyone understand for all these? It's just to clean the books up. That's
Yep.
all. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have a budget transfer A5110.04 to account A5142.04, street maintenance contingency to snow removal contingency for $141. Do I have a motion? Mr. Mellon, do I have a second? Mr. Brown, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So move. I have a motion. A5110.04 to account A5182.04, street maintenance contingency to street lighting contingency for $23,050. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Brown, Ms. Murphy, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I request from the Highland Falls Fort Montgomery Central School District to use Roe Park from March 1st, 2015 to June 10th, 2015 for O'Neill Baseball. Do I have a motion?
They do this every-
Yeah, this is every year. This is standard.
Okay.
Do they file insurance with us?
Yes.
They do.
Okay. And that's taken care of, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
They get it in an appropriate amount of time.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
We do?
Second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Oh,
Opposed? I have a request from Stephen Terry to run a basketball tournament at Roe Park, August 2nd, rain date August 3rd. That paperwork is in front of you. It is not with the insurance. I've talked to the clerk about, obviously, we have the ability to approve it tonight without the insurance, they will not be able to have the tournament. Conditional, thank you, sir.
Make a motion that we approve it contingent upon insurance?
Do I have a second?
second.
Questions? I would like to make a quick comment. A lot of people have been trying to do these things for a while. They talk about it. Summer starts, everyone does their own thing. A lot of this never happens. Mr. Terry really seems to have a lot of this together. Very excited. When we start, more people want to get involved. I hope this goes very well. I see it being very successful. I need a motion to accept bills and claims.
Oh, can we vote on the Association for Defense Community?
When I'm done with bills and claims, maybe.
Okay.
We can do that right now, because then I'll forget anyway. You know what, because I already put it aside.
Uh-huh.
I lost it.
I didn't
Ah! We would like to make a motion to join the Association of Defense Communities. We have a membership application for $240. Do I have a motion?
get it. You do.
Second? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I need a motion to accept bills and claims for the year 13-14 in the amount of $81,966.97.
I'll move it.
Second? All those in favor? Opposed? I need a motion to accept the bills and claims for the year 14-15 in the amount of $139,379.52. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? Bueller?
No one wants to spend the money.
Mr. Brown had made the motion. Thank you, sir. Do I have a second? Charlie,
Second.
any questions? Questions? You're killing me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You know what almost escaped me? I was about to go into executive session, but I can't. Because we have public comment. Miss Lynn.
We might need to stand there.
In front of our lawyer.
I'm the lawyer. I'm the lawyer. I want to introduce myself, Mary Ellen Olivia, and I've been a village resident for over 30 years now. There are two things I want to discuss. One is the disturbances on Saturday, the 28th of June, and again on Monday, the 30th of June. And the other thing is a parking issue. But before I even go to discuss them, I'd like to read the mission statement of the police department. The principal mission of the Village of Highland Falls Police Department is to serve the community by protecting life and property, by preventing crime, by enforcing laws, and maintaining order for all citizens. It is essential for all members to remember that in the execution of our duties, we act not for ourselves, but for the good of the public. We respect and protect the rights of all citizens and perform our duties with honesty, zeal, courage, discretion, fidelity, and sound judgment. And also on that website, there's a little thing that says, if you see something, say something. So, what happened was, at approximately 11:20 p.m. on Saturday night, many people were woken up, and I phoned the police because in front of my house was an explosion. It turned out the teenagers were there and they were getting filmed by other people, and it was a 2-liter Coke bottle that had exploded. When the police officer arrived, my neighbor spoke to him because she had also called it in. He said we could blame high school chemistry for this, but he never got out of the police car to see where this exploded thing was. There were 3 other people there that could identified one of the youths that was then walking by as having been there, and we told the officer what the house he entered, but the 3 of us watched and never saw a police car go to that property. Then at approximately 9:30 the next morning, the 29th of June, I saw the exploded Coke bottle in front of my house, and my neighbor was across the street, and I said, I'm gonna clean it up. And she said, don't touch it. The police officer said not to touch it because we don't know what the chemicals were that were used. And it was at this time I noticed that on the side of my house, which is Cousins and Lake, there was a smaller Coke bottle filled about 25% full, standing up. And apparently the kids had been crouching under a car that was parked on the side too. So I think they were getting ready to do another one of these things. Anyway, I called the police department, the dispatcher, and because it says that on the website for the DPW people, if it's after hours, that's who you're supposed to call. And I explained to the dispatcher what the situation was. At first he said, I don't really know anything about this, but then he said, wait a minute. And he looked and he said, 2 people called that in last night. And he said, yes. But he told me he didn't believe a DPW person would come in because they'd have to be paid overtime on a Sunday. And I basically said, don't even tell me that. That's really not my issue at this point. Could somebody at least come and just put cones around the area, not knowing what the chemical was? Okay, so when I came home that night, 6 p.m., Nothing had been done, the bottle was still laying there. At which point I called the mayor. And then my neighbors were walking by with their 2 dogs right in that spot. And I was like, no, 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 do not let them walk there. We do not know what the chemical is. And we all know they lick their paws and everything. So I showed them the bottle on the side of the house, and the man offered to pick it up. But his wife and I said, no. 6:30 the next morning I went out, and the bottle had been, on Lake Street, had been picked up. But then that Monday at 6 p.m., one of the kids that we saw that first night, Saturday night, came and picked up the exploded bottle in front of my house, and they had another bottle with them, and then they were walking on Lake Street with backpacks, pulling out aluminum foil from the box there. I tried to follow them, but they got wise to it. So I called the police department, and in desperation went to the home of a police officer saying, please come, they're on Fort Putnam Street, they have another bottle, they're getting ready to do this. And the police officer told me, there's a car on the way. It's all in timing, I believe, with catching people. And I said, this town is getting to be bad. At which point he said to me, have a good day. And at which point, the bottle exploded on Fort Putnam Street. And that's the bottle, what's left of it, okay? So, nothing happened basically, except the police department did come and we gave them pictures. Came out very bad. When we enlarged them, they're better on our computer. Then about 10 o'clock that night, the corner of Cousins and Lake, there is the group again with a firecracker this time, lighting their Bic lighter, because I could see that, and a car came on and said, oh, there's a car coming. We called that into the police department. My neighbor followed them, got 4 of the kids and said, don't move. The police came, took their names down, and sent them home to their parents and grandparents, which is not my neighbor's house where they all ended up sitting on the porch. So at that point, I called my neighbor, left them a message saying, we've had a police incident here and they're all at your house. And obviously, he sent them on their way. But the next day, that parent called me, whose son told her what the whole story was. And it's that they put bathroom cleaner in bottles with aluminum foil, and then it explodes. So that's the exploded bottle I found. So my summary is basically there doesn't seem to be cooperation between different departments. If there's an emergency number, we don't know what chemicals are, I think something should have been done. But I have to say that everybody that's heard this story has been disgusted about it, and they feel they're not protected living here. And I'm asking that no repercussions are taken against my family and myself, because many people, when they heard I was coming tonight, warned me that that's a potential outcome of me complaining. And I hope that's not the case. And then the other thing is the library parking. I'm a friend of the library. We do a lot of work to raise money to make it the wonderful facility that it is. And I want to say a month or so ago, everybody seems to park there, but it's not supposed to park there. And a police officer parked there. And I said to that person, did I just see you park there? And he said, yeah, I'm going on my shift. And I explained that is for patron parking. And he said to me, I'll remember that for next time. So I guess my big question today, living in this village, we're trying to make it better. I know that I've done a lot of work too, is what can we expect for protection? Who are we going to really rely on? And what happens if these kids up their game? And suddenly, are we going to have the Boston bombings? Are they going to start putting nails in these things? And again, it's 10 o'clock at night, it's almost 11:30 at night. Why are these kids, 14, 15, 16, out on the street? at this time, so maybe a curfew. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Ms.
You're
Libby.
welcome.
I do want to let you know the board is dealing with the issue right now. We are in contact with the police to go over what happened, proper procedure. As far as, we will give you an update on that as soon as we're finished.
Thank you.
I agree with you 110%. The real issue here on top of the police themselves is, please, this is a new phenomenon sweeping the internet. The youth need to understand that they may think that it's not going to be damaging. I did get a call from a resident in your area also that thinks it may have damaged her car. They exploded one underneath her car. But you may not, when you're dealing with the aluminum foil and even the plastic, if a small child is near it, it can hurt them greatly, or a pet. So please, and it is time, I want to thank you for coming out. Some people may be, oh, I can't believe she came out, this is so wrong. No, we need people to speak up in this community. We need people to look out for their neighbors, and thank you for coming out. Parents and community members, this can't be allowed. The police, I will be working with the police as far as response, but they can't be everywhere, and we do need to have that cohesiveness where the community knows that the police will be there for them, and the community needs to be there for the police to be able to say, this happened, exactly what you've been doing. Calling, this is going on, please. As far as the parking, there was a memorandum issued that they are supposed to be parking in the lot across from Sacred Heart. They're not supposed to be parking on the street or in the library lot. So if that's an issue, and it's during hours where the village hall is open, please come in and let us know. If it's not, obviously you have my phone number, so go ahead and use it. I would like to just point out that Ms. Olivia is also on the Main Street Committee, and who has been working. It's not just, and it doesn't matter, because anyone should be able to come up and say whatever. But I feel it's even more so when people have been working hard to improve this community, and you know, they're not being listened to. And I want to thank you for those efforts as well, Charlie.
And also for public awareness, if I were a parent of one of these kids, I have flashbacks to my own misspent youth, and a similar thing cost a friend of mine his hand. So really bad accidents can happen when you start fooling around with chemicals. So we do need to be cautious. And when you see something, please do say something.
You won't always get the response you may want, but please don't let that dishearten you from continually being on top of the situation. We have a small town. A lot of people do know a lot of people. So we do need to get back to the fact that we can call someone's parent, just as you did. And you can say, hey, they are kids, and they've got to be looked after. And they've got to be told that's not what to do. We can't let them run rampant either.
Oh, and you said 11:39 that went off?
I think it was around 11:20, and
That's late.
I don't have the
Yeah, but I
incident
mean,
report.
that's late, you know, so.
It's late to be woken up,
Yeah,
and when people have to be up for work at 6 the next morning.
right.
So we are working on that, and we will let you know, and I thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
I just also realized, as far as more comments, I have to thank the 4th of July committee, in particular Jill Lennon, Jill Ford, and Ann Molina. They did a fantastic job putting events together, even with the rain and the bad weather that we had. Last week, with the canoe races and the all-day activities, fantastic turnout, great event. Teen night, we had over 70 kids there. It was another very good turnout. And I want to thank Dean Yeager. He snuck in the 5K race. Another great event. Jess Pep for always being there to help us organize 2 or 3 of the events, and Greg Moore. I also want to thank the Fort Montgomery and Highland Falls Fire Departments, the Ambulance Corps, and the police for the last-minute motorcade to kick off Sunday night's activities and fireworks at Royal Park. Again, and there's a full park, even with the having to redo the fireworks that night. I would like to, a big question was why were they Sunday, not Saturday? They were Sunday because that's when the fireworks company could have done it. That's what they were contracted to do if there was a rain date. So it wasn't that we decided Saturday is not a good day. If there was a rain date, the rain date was Sunday. And that's why it was done on Sunday. I want to thank anyone for that helped out. We had a good time, a good turnout. The activities went very well. Any other board comments? Charlotte?
Right before the fireworks, when the national anthem was playing, I was looking around looking for a flag. And it seems like we should have a flagpole coming off of the pavilion or something down there. But I would like to thank Brian Sullivan, because lo and behold, as the music began to play, he had a full-size flag on a pole that he proceeded to wave for an extensive period of time. And it was just a great thought on his part, and I was glad to see it there. It made a lot of sense.
I would make a comment, I won't do it. But I think actually that is a very valid point. People are always turning when there's events up there, and even down at, in other areas where we need a flagpole up at Royal Park.
Or at least off of the building, maybe not a freestanding one.
Either or. So that we'll have to look into that this week. I think that's an excellent idea. Any other board comment? Bob?
No?
Mr. Brown? Okay, we're past public comment, but because I did not announce planning board where I should have in the beginning during department heads, then I will go with the planning board. Can we get a planning board report?
No,
Can we get a planning board? Can we just get Jim Ramus?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond.
nothing to do with the planning board.
Okay.
Apologize, I missed it.
No, you're right, it's not.
I want to comment on the sewer.
Turn around because they need to see you, Jim.
Yes,
They don't like-
Yes, he is
Kevin's
back.
not gonna continue if you don't turn around.
Jim, I don't want to see your back. Give me your profile, at least.
I want to comment on the sewer.
Mhm.
I would caution the board before going into any contracts with the federal government, being the difficulties we have now getting our school money that the federal government said they would give us, and being that the federal government does not always pass their budget, who would be on the hook to continue to pay their costs if that line item, for some strange reason, doesn't make it in? So we really need to look at that, a good hard look at that, before we go into any contracts with the federal government.
They would be a customer.
And if the customer doesn't pay, do we have the right to can we put a valve in to shut them off?
I think we could.
We have an existing one on South Post right now.
But the question is, do we have the right to
Well,
shut off?
For non-payment?
To shut off a
I-
whole
I would
post.
think Bill, maybe you should answer this one, but I would think that if,
The federal government at that. And then what repercussions would we get on any of the other things that they generally are?
Rather than go into speculation, what I will tell you is we're not that close to any kind of a contract at this time. We're setting up the possibilities of what we can do. I would not move forward without your entire, I know you're just here for Mr. Ramus. I wouldn't move forward without your entire group being involved, first of all. I think that's important. And the only reason why we're even considering it is because we already, they're already a customer of ours through South Post. And that's really never been a problem. And we have the capacity right now to take a portion of it, not the entire thing, but a portion, which would give us a lot more income for our sewer plant, which would help us to make our upgrades without using tax dollars. But understand this, there's a lot more people that are gonna be involved if we can move forward on this. And your group, the planning board, is without question going to be one of them.
So how long have we How long have we been taking on their sewage and have they ever been late with their payment?
They've never been late with their payment, and we've been taking on for,
Quite a while.
yeah, this is, basically it's the Lady Cliff property.
And who pays that? Is that a federal government check that we get?
Yes.
So as long as they've owned Lady Cliff, it is.
We are looking at them for more customer service money. Because that's one of the things we haven't captured over the years, is the fact that they could be, and whether you talk to the lawyers, the engineers, anyone else involved in these projects, one of the comments that 99.9% of them make is, they're not going anywhere. It's not, they'll be a customer forever, which is one of the things that we're looking at as a possibility. It's not that, and we're not looking to make, also understand, we're not looking to make any investment on the village or town's part. Any project like this will be paid outside of taxpayer money. So we're not gonna be utilizing taxpayer money to bring something here that we're gonna have to make back. It will be profit day one, or it's not gonna work here. We don't have the money to put out to hope that we're gonna get the money back, which I think is pretty secure. But
Just wanna make sure.
you'll always be that watchdog for me, and I appreciate that.
Because we fight for that school money, you know, relentlessly. You know, it's a big issue. And then, if I could, Mr. Murphy, just, I'm gonna remind you what we talked about the other day. If you could bring that up later on, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
With that, thank you again. We'll ask to go in executive session, discuss specific and individual and personnel matters and contractual agreements. Do I have a motion? Mr. Brown, second? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day.